Congress this week holding its first hearing on UFOs in more than 50 years, where Pentagon officials shared declassified photos and videos of these unidentified objects in the sky. But did they leave us with more questions than answers? That's always what they say in these segments. Theoretical physics professor and author of the God Equation, Dr. Michio Kaku, joining me now. Doctor, great to see you. Thanks for being here again. You know, even the Vatican, speaking of your book title, even the Vatican says it's conceivable that there could be other beings in the universe. So God could have a plan for UFOs as well. Did you see anything this week that made you go, wow, I didn't know that?
Well, before there were 143 sightings that could not be explained using the normal laws of physics. With these congressional hearings, now we have 400 sightings by U.S. Navy pilots and seasoned military personnel that cannot be explained. These objects fly between Mach 5 and Mach 20, 20 times the speed of sound.
Wow.
These objects can drop 70,000 feet within a matter of seconds. These objects can zigzag, creating G-forces that are several hundred times the force of gravity, enough to crush the bones of any humans. These objects can fly without creating any exhaust. In other words, quote, they're not ours, unquote, as stated by one Pentagon official. Then the next question is, if they're not ours, then whose are they?
So they defy what we know about what we are capable of producing. Even if there's something that, you know, the Chinese in some secret location is coming up with, they simply don't have the physics to match what these objects are doing. Does that mean that they are defying literally the laws of physics?
Well, hypersonic drones can approach this kind of capability, and we see them in the Ukraine. The Russians are ahead of us, actually, in terms of hypersonic drones, and they've actually used them against the Ukrainians, but they are unreliable. They're not as good as they're cranked up to be. And also, these UFO sightings go back to before World War II, when, of course, the whole idea of hypersonic drones would be considered science fiction. And so we're talking about a technology that we're not familiar with, a technology that only recently has been mastered by the Russians and eventually by the United States as well. Hypersonic drones that can travel up to Mach 20.
Yeah, and what you suggested at the beginning, I mean, they can turn on a dime. I mean, even if you could get up to that speed and find some way of encapsulating a being in that craft, you couldn't turn that quickly no matter what we try to do here on Earth, right?
That's right. In fact, the United States military had a program to perfect hypersonic drones that was canceled 2 years ago because they were unstable. By zigzagging, they would spiral out of control and then crash. Well, because the Russians have announced that they have a hypersonic drone, that means that the United States military has revised its program. But just to show you that these objects, whatever they are more advanced than anything that we can feel. And of course, these sightings go back way before World War II, when the idea of hypersonic drones was considered science fiction.
Are we, very quickly, are we getting more of these sightings now, or is it just because we have better ability to track things wherever they are in our little section of the universe here?
Well, apparently the military, the pilots of the military have hundreds of these encounters, but most of the time they keep it to themselves. There's a stigma, the giggle factor, and so a lot of these sightings are simply not reported. Now the military has said, no, you have to report these sightings, no matter how bizarre they are. So watch for it. There could be floodgates. The floodgates could be open as now the stigma is beginning to be removed. That military pilots, commercial pilots are now free to reveal what they see in the sky.
We have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for being here. Fascinating stuff. Well, the White House not giving up on ending Title 42 after a judge blocks Biden's plan to kill it. That's next.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhardt. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.